is really, they're very spirited.
What are you trying to say?
No, you are equally spirited, but they actually, they ask a lot of interesting questions. But okay, anyway, so wow, okay, we're gonna have to edit that. But I want to talk a little bit about the homework. But before I do that, because Sam and I were talking about auditioning stuff the other day, and then. Okay, so Nick went to producers for Chuck. Now this is the second time he's gone into that show because there are fans there. And of course, what is my whole theory on, there are so many variables we have no control over as actors. When it comes to actually, first of all, everybody who's in the business understands that the audition situation is stacked against the actor. Like every producer who's like worth their, what's that saying? Worth their,
Weight in gold.
Thank you, weight in gold, understands that it's really not conducive to the best work. Casting directors understand that. They understand that actors come in with very short notice and that there's nerves at play. So everybody understands it except the actor for some reason. So the actor goes in. You guys, can you just hold off passing that around? We'll deal with that in a second. Thank you. I guess I have short-term distraction memory, something. So, where was I? See? Where was I? That's how easily... Okay, yeah, so right, we go in, and as actors do, we make it all about ourselves, not keeping things in perspective. So, Nick goes in, and I'm sure he did a great job. Well, the moral of the story is he did do a great job. But what happens? He comes out of the audition doing that snow job that we all do on ourselves. Oh my God, it was terrible. I froze. They hated me. They're never going to call me back. They used to like me. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this. I know you didn't say it. I know you said some of this, right? A little bit of it. Oh my gosh, I just blew my chances, etc., etc. That's what we do because our own experience is not... First of all... There's so many, like I said, there's so many variables that you have no control over anyway. And if, let's say you do crash and burn, your crash and burn at the worst is never as bad as you think. Partly because they understand that the dynamic is against the actor. You get what I'm saying? So even when you do horrible, and that happens, and that's okay, it's totally okay to like go face first. Even when it feels like it's the end of the world, I'm telling you, it's never as bad as you think it is when you have an out-and-out failure. Okay? And there is no such thing, but now I'm talking about when you just do your work and it's probably pretty solid and then you come out and you're the incorrect interpreter of that experience because your perspective is probably being tagged by that habituated way we think about ourselves. And so we think that they are thinking about ourselves the way that we think about ourselves. And it's not true. They see you for 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes and they're just hoping that you do a fantastic job. They want you to make their casting job easy. They want to go home and they want to be with their family and they want to get their problem solved. That is how it works. So you go in and you do your thing and maybe it does not feel quite as liberated as you've done in class or as liberated if you have like I coached them on it. So like, okay, maybe that's not the case. But again, the thing that I keep telling you is that's technique working for you. Even when it feels cold or off a little bit or not quite have that maybe you normally feel, technique is there for you. And you're still probably doing fantastic. So sure enough, he thought like he tanked it. And Todd Sherry was like, Todd, I don't know if I can say that on there, but anyway, the casting director says, oh my God, we love him. He was fantastic. The producers love him. The head of casting loves him. We'll bring him back. The only problem is he was too good looking for the role. Oh, it's such a hard problem to have. All being so good looking. So, the thing is why do we take the nosedive onto the brain drain train? Next stop, Depressionville. When it's really not an accurate assessment of your work. You probably have all had situations where you've totally tanked. And when you tank, there is still something to be learned about it. Like, why did I just completely crash and burn? Why? Like, what can I take from that can help me in the next go-around? But anything short of that, if you just felt like a little off or you weren't as freed as like all these things that I just mentioned, It is not your job to interpret it based on a habituated way of thinking, because as it probably has borne out time and time again, it's not the truth. So then that leads me to the bigger question of, which has been the homework that we have been doing or not doing. What are the examples in life? Listen, I'm not saying I haven't mastered. Having just done this project and did the screening and stuff, a lot of my stuff, my family was in town, a lot of my stuff got triggered. And a lot of my response system, Rachel's like, yeah, a lot of my stuff got triggered, and then I could feel myself coming from a conditioned thought that had nothing to do with the actual experience I was having. But that's what happens when you're under duress, you're under stress, you're facing an obstacle, something gets triggered in you. And so your default gets kicked into place, right? So the thing that I'm always teaching are just tools of awareness so that it's still okay to slide down there. It's still okay to take that bus to Depressionville. It's okay. You just have to be aware you're riding in the back of the bus. And then you may choose to only stay there for an hour or two, as opposed to being in a complete fog for 5 days, right? So, the homework that we've been focusing on is what? Did I give you more homework last week?
No.
No. So were you all successful in achieving this thing? Which was, I think, just becoming aware of when you are out in the world and you're up against your stuff, something gets triggered, right? And your way of, was that the homework? Why am I all of a sudden forgetting the homework?
It was the
Yeah, thank you. And then, so how does that trigger a response system that is really systematically just getting in your own way, right? So, did anybody have any epiphany or understanding of that this past week? Because I have the answer for you right here. No, I do. It's a great light bulb moment, but I want to hear if you... I mean, Valerie in the Monday Day class keeps putting it to me the most succinctly, but tell me, anybody? Rachel, did you do it?
No.
Rachel. Kaliko, did you do it?
I'm always doing it.
No, did you do Kaliko? The homework.
Yeah.
And? Okay, so you didn't, because then there would have been maybe a light bulb moment. Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, my main thing was laziness, so I just kind of stopped being so lazy.
And you went to the gym.
I went to the gym, I went to the eye doctor, which I've never done before, which is a very kind of traumatic experience.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And I took the census test today, I went to the dentist yesterday, I've been all over the place.
Taking action in the world, okay.
Well, my teeth and my eyes will fall out if I don't do it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I've been much more doing stuff.
Okay. Anybody else with a specific? Yes, Izzy.
I kind of had an epiphany last week when I was writing down the things that get in my way.
Yes.
I realized that because I've never ever really cared what other people think, which probably could be a problem in itself. But I realized that I care a lot what I think about myself. It's weird, because I've done so many stupid things in my life that I'm really aware of. Well, I don't want to do that because I'm just gonna. Well, I don't know. It's like a weird subconscious thing because I care what I think about myself. Does that make sense?
No, you have lost me. But just give me an example, and then I'll be able to get through it.
It makes sense to me, and it's just even with reaching out to people. I found out a friend of mine was casting a pilot, and I'm like, well, I should just email her, and but I don't want to do that because I just don't do that. I'm not going to reach out.
Okay.
Maybe it's not going to work out, and I don't want to think that I'm putting myself out there, and but I did, and
okay.
she's bringing me in.
Okay.
So I reached out.
Okay.
And it worked.
But Izzy, I still think your definition, I'm not quite clear. I don't think your definition has to do with how you feel about it. It still sounds like a covering of really what you are concerned about somebody else thinks about it. You're calling it something else.
It's deeper than that because I wouldn't care I was whatever, if they don't want to bring me in, they don't bring me in. But it's like a personal thing where I get down on my, it's hard to explain, but I know what's happening.
Okay, all right. But I think the interesting thing is you have a victory in being aware of it and then doing it anyway. Yeah. Nothing comes from nothing. So you wouldn't have, even though you have an agent or a manager, nothing maybe would have come for you getting into that audition had you not done that.